Let's execute an immediate, high-gear tactical vector shift away from packed collegiate hockey arenas and campus media networks and step directly onto the emotionally raw, calculation-heavy tracking grids of small-town domestic survival, high-risk single-parent protection protocols, and deep woods healing arrays. We are crossing the threshold directly into the beautifully scenic yet fiercely guarded territorial borders of Cedar Ridge with Ashes of You, the exceptional, rapid-pulsing fifth installment that serves as a core pillar's anchor for the chart-topping Lost and Found series by the absolute sovereign of emotional romantic suspense, Catherine Cowles. This high-stakes deployment delivers a thrilling, deeply volatile look at an operational crossroads where past trauma wreckage, hidden local hazards, and intense protective instincts collide at terminal velocity. Let's lay out the strategic narrative grid. If you are a fan of high-octane, slow-burn romantic thrillers where an elite, hyper-focused alpha single dad must navigate an absolute maze of small-town security gaps, deep personal scars, and an encroaching external threat matrix while running an aggressive protective loop around a vulnerable target, where an analytical mind uses deep situational awareness, terrain mapping, and absolute protective dominance to eliminate danger, and where the author utilizes an incandescent, shattered souls finding sanctuary diagnostic routine to test our hero's structural survival perimeters, this book is engineered to lock you in. Cowles completely dominates the romantic suspense noir dynamic, capturing the heart-racing emotional momentum, suffocating small-town protective circles, and deep psychological depth popularized by genre vargs like Devney Perry, Rebecca Yarros, her suspense catalog, Laura Griffin, and Kendra Elliott, while treating small-town community logistics, emergency survival operations, and protective domestic grids with absolute technical mastery. The narrative tracking grid zeroes in on our central protagonist axis, a masterfully calculated duet of a fierce guardian father and a deeply resilient heroine running from her past. Our hero is the ultimate blueprint of protective resilience, operating under a strict calculation-heavy routine to guard his children and his local business empire from external anomalies while navigating an isolated mountain ecosystem where any disruption carries massive security metrics. His daily workspace is a highly monitored playground of rustic mountain terrain, family homesteads, and deep community networks. His internal defense mechanisms are locked down tight behind a layer of absolute parental focus, his entire analytical focus strictly consumed by monitoring local threat vectors, parsing past betrayals, and guarding his children's sanctuary from being compromised by external traps. The spark ignites when his active scanning perimeter registers a devastating structural anomaly, the arrival of a quiet, fiercely protective heroine whose very presence breaches his established isolation guidelines. She is a survivor of severe systemic trauma, her entire profile built around running absolute, unyielding defensive maneuvers to stay off the radar of a dark shadow from her past. Yet the official diagnostic metrics of his internal radar show an immediate total system overload. Standard diplomatic parameters are pulled entirely offline, as hidden historical hazards, malicious local rumors, and external tracking purges threaten to expose her location and compromise his family ring. Our alpha single dad refuses to let external executors violate his sector. He initiates an aggressive calculation-heavy defensive loop, sweeping her directly into his fortified inner circle. The tactical parameters instantly explode as their force proximity turns completely active, transforming the isolated mountain estate into a volatile psychological pressure cooker. Our veteran survivalist duo is forced to deploy their massive intuitive tradecraft, environmental mapping skills, and raw emotional stamina to maintain a united front against the shadows closing in. When deceptive external stalkers, rogue local threats, and calculation-heavy criminal algorithms launch aggressive countermeasures to permanently delete the heroine's safety grade, their survival instincts engage their final deployment tracks. Every midnight boundary sweep through the mountain timber, every silent choice to let their physical proximity breach standard professional boundaries behind closed doors, and every intense moment of shielding each other's hidden emotional scars chips away at their reliance on original defensive rules. What follows is an exceptional, high-stakes war of perspective, tactical position, and raw human grit. We watch the small town's deceptive perimeters completely unwrapped as Cowles reveals that the true victory requires more than just hiding. It demands an absolute, uncompromising annihilation of the forces threatening their peace of peace. While our central duo smooths over each other's psychological and defensive blind spots with devastating analytical force, a brutal series of high-altitude confrontations and domestic trials shifts the clock into its terminal phase, proving that the executors have tracked them to their final sanctuary. To survive the impending locked grid trap and permanently secure their future, our resilient pair must unleash an absolute, unyielding defense of their dark, undeniable bond.
It is a small-town romantic suspense, single-dad protection drama, forced proximity action, high-velocity contemporary thriller masterpiece that treats deep localized logistics and intense emotional friction with elite precision. The tension here burns with a sharp, calculation-heavy intensity. We are talking about that high-frequency, one unsecured window triggers a fatal home invasion energy, where a sudden pause in a dark cabin corridor, an unexpected shift in your partner's protective physical posture during a sudden thunderstorm, or a heavy, possessive realization that the single father has completely mapped your darkest vulnerabilities carries massive structural weight. Cowles writes with an exceptionally fresh, vivid, and beautifully blunt voice, perfectly capturing the cold, metallic hum of emergency gear, the oppressive, heavy atmosphere of a rain-slicked forest canopy, and the distinct, subtle scent of pine wood, old leather, expensive whiskey, fresh rain, and pure, unadulterated suspense. What truly elevates this fifth installment into elite territory is the author's unmatched ability to balance realistic small-town emergency response logistics and genuine high-stakes tactical protective maneuvers, alongside a breathtaking narrative pace and deep emotional hooks. Our protagonist duo doesn't rely on unbelievable, superficial Hollywood superhero action tropes. Their immense situational awareness, strategic patience, and profound survival instincts match the complexity of the chaotic criminal elements threatening them step for step, making their choices to risk everything feel profoundly authentic and deeply gripping. The pacing moves with calculated momentum, tracking intense conversational standoffs and breathtaking personal breakthroughs before ratcheting up to an absolute jaw-dropping final confrontation that delivers total, hard-earned closure to their horizon. Ashes of You is the definitive pro-level upgrade your high-stakes contemporary romance and alpha suspense fiction library demands right now. It is elegant, immensely fast-paced, and utterly unputdownable. It proves that when your entire sanctuary is targeted by a cold, calculating institutional monster, the most revolutionary play you can execute is to lock your perimeters, embrace your deepest bonds, and fight like hell alongside your protector to rewrite the data. So, secure your personal reading sanctuary, review your emotional defensive perimeters, open your Kindle, and prepare to track the ridge.